Hey there, my name is Jen and I love to travel, and one of my favorite ways to travel is using Airbnb. This is not a sponsored video or anything. I get a lot of questions about how I pick and find even the Airbnbs that I choose. So I thought I would do a sit down dedicated, walk you through my process and how I find such beautiful gems tucked away all over. I'm located in the Midwest, so there's a lot of places I can go from here, but there's basically several ways to approach this, as with any trip planning. Do you have a set in stone time frame? Like, are there certain dates and those are the only dates that you can travel? That's number one. Within that time frame, are you flexible about going to more than one spot? So for instance, say there's an Airbnb you really want to go to, but it's not available for the entire length of your stay, but it's available for maybe 2 nights. Would you be willing to split up your trip to spend 2 nights at that spot that you're really excited about and then find another, different lodging for the other nights of your trip? So that's number one. 2, is there a specific place you want to travel to? Or are you flexible about where you're going? And how flexible are you? What is the range? What is the distance you're willing to travel? Are you okay with flying? Do you just want to drive? This will help when you are doing your Airbnb search. And 3, the third thing is, are you looking to stay in a specific type of lodging? The beautiful thing about Airbnb is there's a lot of niche lodging options. For instance, cabins, entire islands, campsites, tiny homes, places that are just very architecturally interesting. So if you have anything like that in mind, that can also help you streamline your search and weed out the things that don't work for you. So I'm going to take you onto the Airbnb site and we're going to look at it together. I'm going to take you through what I do when I am either searching for a specific location or just generally having a look about. And I highly recommend this if you're interested in trying out that Airbnb travel life, because you might find yourself in a place that you would not otherwise travel to were it not for that Airbnb. And that's certainly been the case for me. So here we are on Airbnb.com, and you can make an account. I highly recommend that. You can also become a host if you want to do that, but I'm not touching that. I don't have any experience with that. So here it's showing me things that are close-ish to me. Like I said, I'm located in the Midwest. I live in the Chicago area, so it's picking things for me right on the get-go here on the sign-in screen of places that are near me. I rely heavily on reviews when it comes to Airbnb, and also just on points of interest for the listing itself. In my opinion, if I am looking to stay at an Airbnb, generally, unless it's for a specific event like a family event or something that I'm really locked into date and time, I'm flexible with where I'm traveling because I want to go to an interesting dwelling. And then I find so many treasures in whatever that place is that, like I said, I might not have found otherwise. So let's say, for instance, you are extremely flexible on where you're going, but you have specific dates. So here on Airbnb.com, you can see at the top, there's this search, this very nice search bar at the top. And it says anywhere, any week, add guests. So I'm going to say anywhere because I want to have an open mind about where I'm going, but I have specific dates I want to travel. So let's say I want to travel like a Thursday through a Sunday in mid-August. And I'm not flexible about the dates. You can be flexible about the dates and just pick like a month and pick a weekend or whatever. I'm going to say that I'm locked into these dates. This is when I have time to go somewhere. Okay, then I'm going to add the guests. I'm traveling solo most of the time when I'm going to an Airbnb, but you can add if you have kids, if you have babies, and if you're bringing your dog. This is a very important part of the search feature. Do not search for Airbnb without this selected if you're planning on traveling with your dog, because most Airbnbs have a very strict no pet or for pet policy. So just so you know, I'm just going to search for me and for those dates, but anywhere, right? So we're gonna take a look. Now here it's showing me things kind of based around my area, but I can zoom out and get even further away. What I like about Airbnb is the map feature. So I'm gonna go to show map down here, and now you can see it's showing me things that are available for those dates. So I'm around here, it's showing me things that are available locally for those dates. But if I zoom out on the map, well, I can see the whole country, and I can see actually the whole world if I really want to. I'm gonna stick with the United States because I wanna stay domestic. And let's say I want to go, where do I want to go? Let's say I want to go out west. Let's say I want to go to Oregon. So let's zoom in on Oregon. So I'm just gonna kind of center it in the map. I'm gonna zoom in, and we're gonna see what is available. Not a lot. Well, I see as you zoom in closer and closer, there's more and more available. Let's say I want to be on the coast because I want to do a coastal drive up and down the Pacific Northwest. So let's zoom in over there and see what's available on the coast here. I'm not very familiar with Oregon. I've been once and I had a really grand old time. I know Gold Beach is famous. I know there's a lot of famous places. We can even dip down into Northern California here, and there's a lot of famous places. I don't see anything available. So it will pop up the little price tags where things are available. So let's see what this is here. Okay, so 4.8 stars is pretty good. I tend to be very picky about reviews. I'm looking for anything with a 4.75 or higher personally, and then I make sure to take time to read the reviews. So let's check this out. Well, this just looks lovely, but I'm not seeing any pictures of the actual place. Like, it's right on the coast, which is beautiful. 2 bedrooms I don't really need. It's kind of more expensive because of that second bedroom, so this might be more than what I need, but I always want to see what the exterior of the house looks like. I always want to see detailed pictures of the interior of the house, including bathrooms and kitchen and bedrooms. Let's see what they have listed here. So they show, okay, there's the exterior of the house. It's very sweet looking. And it's right on the water. It looks like you have your own access there. So I'm just judging this by the photos at first glance. It looks clean. It looks roomy enough, plenty roomy for me. I'm gonna turn my sound off there. Plenty roomy for me. Looks like they have some good COVID protocols if you're worried about that sort of thing. And it's showing me the bathrooms, which I appreciate, showing me the exterior of the house, which I appreciate, showing me where you can park. Also great information. Look, they even include a floor plan, which I also very much appreciate. Okay, so there's a lot of pictures here. So, okay, that's really good information. Then I'm gonna go down and read the description. So if you say show more on the description, it'll tell you a lot about the place. Usually people are pretty descriptive. Hosts are pretty descriptive here. 2-bedroom guest house, amazing redwood paneling. Apparently this is a guest house attached to a main house property, so that's something to consider. It sounds like it's pretty secluded from that, but it also, you're gonna be running up to them, like they're gonna be not completely isolated in this location, which some people will like and some people will not like. Looks like you can rent kayaks or paddle boards. Tells you all about the, oh wow, there's a lot of information here. So you can see that that's one place you get information. The next place I get information is on the amenities list. So here it's showing me things that I look for are Wi-Fi. I make sure, I don't care so much about like products being provided, but I wanna make sure there's hot water. I wanna make sure there's at least a shower. Sometimes I specifically want a bathtub that will be designated. This is showing you, they have a fireplace. Sometimes when I'm traveling in the winter, I want a fireplace or an outdoor fire pit, you know, for ambiance. It's telling you about cooking things. It's always very important to look at that. I find Airbnbs can be a little bit lacking sometimes on cooking utensils and things, so it's good to know in advance what to expect, what kind of appliances they have. So if you're packing in your own food, you know what is appropriate to pick up for the, you know, what appliances you have access to. So this is all very, very informative. Free parking, always very important. Self check-in with a lockbox is good information to have. Does not have air conditioning. That's important to note, if that's important to you. I don't know if you need air conditioning on the Oregon coast, but that's important to note. Then, if you I'm going to skip the reviews for just a minute. If you scroll all the way down, it'll give you a map, which again, very helpful. You can zoom in on this, you can zoom out on this. This can give you, they won't release the full address of the house unless you book it, but this will give you a very good sense of where exactly it is. So it's not right on the ocean, it's on this lake, right? And then down here, the host will give you more information about the area. This is another important place to look. Because they'll give you lots of information about the area, things that they suggest to do, places to eat. So they say you can have a fine meal at Redfish or fish and chips at the Crazy Norwegian. If you go up to Bandon, you can go horseback riding on the beach, walk along the downtown boardwalk. So it's close enough to places for destinations. There's the Bandon Dunes, it's just a 30-minute drive. All very good information. And then I also go down here and I like to read about the host because it can be very telling what kind of host you have, what kind of place you are going to, because somebody who takes the time to really flesh this out will be generally, in my experience, a more thorough host that provides you more information. And in my experience, the more information you have about a listing and directions after you've booked about, you know, the home itself and house rules and things like that, the better. And then if you go even further down, I'll give you the house rules. You can click on that to see, you know, lots of people have very strict house rules for things and different charges for things. And you can see there's no pets allowed, no parties or events, no smoking. Their cancellation policy, this differs by listing. This one is free cancellation for only 48 hours after booking. So if you have a sudden issue, you might not be reimbursed after that 48 hours. If I am not so sure about my dates, I will look for places that have cancellation policies that are a little bit more flexible than this. Okay, and then lastly, I will spend probably the most time looking through reviews, because people will say, like, even if they have a pretty positive review, they will say if there are things that stood out that were cons, right? Like, oh, they didn't have pans, or bring your own knife, or it was a little bit too close to the main house, or things like that. This looks pretty good. People have some good things to say, but here you can see Richard back in April said, lovely location, unfortunately minor kitchen facilities, no freezer, slow hot plates. This is important information. If these things are important to you and they're not provided, you might get more information from the reviews. So that's what I suggest when it comes to like looking at individual listings and kind of going from there. Let's say that's not exactly what we want. We want something a little bit more specific. So maybe I want to get out of the list, out of the map, and I would like to do a cabin in this area during these dates. So did you see how I just selected cabin up here? This is a newer feature for Airbnb. They updated their website not too long ago, just a couple months ago, and they've added these categories, which are great if you're looking for specific types of dwellings, which is what I personally enjoy the most. So I love staying in tiny homes, tree houses, cabins. That's kind of my jam. Anything with very interesting architectural design is always fun. And like I said, I don't always look exactly for an exact location, but more I look for the dwelling and kind of the timing, and then I pick the location based on what's available. That strikes my fancy. Okay, so let's see. This looks really cool. Look at this rhododendron Oregon. But look, $329 a night. That's for 2 queen beds. So that's to sleep more people. Let's see if we can find something that just has 1 bed. Okay, look at this cute house. 1 bed in Jacksonville, Oregon, $187 a night. Okay, so let's see now. Look at this cute little treetop studio. This is right up my alley. And it's got pretty good reviews. It's got a lot of them. This person's a super host, which means they've gotten a lot of really good reviews and you know, passed the test that way. So I'm just looking first to see where this is because I didn't pull this off the map. So this is in Oregon, obviously still. It's in Southern Oregon. Okay, so it's not close to the coast, but it could be that it's close to some national parks or state parks. I would have to look this up separately. So I would Google where Jacksonville is and what's close to it, but you can also, like I said, look in the what's in the area. So 2.5 hour drive to the coast, something to note. They have a Brit Music Festival, paragliding, wine tasting. There's Applegate Lake, Rogue River rafting, Pacific Crest Trail, Crater Lake, Mount Shasta. So it's not telling me a lot about how far away those things are, but they're a 15-minute drive from Ashland and 20-minute drive from a small town. So this is pretty rural, okay? But it's a really great looking location, and I'm sure I'd be able to find things to do there. So now I'm gonna go back up, I'm gonna look at the pictures. I'm telling you, the pictures are very, very helpful. You can tell when people make an effort with their photos, they make a good first impression with their photos. Look how cute this place is. Oh my gosh, it's adorable, I love it. It's got a loft style bed, it's got this tiny little kitchen. Looks like it's pretty quiet, nestled in the woods here. Oh, this just looks lovely. It looks like there's a creek or a river spot to hang out in. It's got a bathroom, an outdoor shower. Okay, so let's look now at what they say about the listing. Find your peace in this cozy light-filled studio in the treetops of the Siskiyou Mountains. Now, I know it's a mountain, so there's probably trails around, and that would appeal to me as a person who enjoys hiking. Studio is self-contained and private. That is important to me. It might not be important to you, but that's something I like to look at. Okay, so now I'm getting more information. Drive right up to the main house. I will greet you and offer instructions to the studio. So it's remote, but it's not so remote that you're totally far away. The host is not too far away, which can be good, especially if you're a solo traveler and you're concerned about that. Some people might be nervous about being close to the host. Some people might not. This is not your typical rental. It's remote, wild, and beautiful. No cell service, but Wi-Fi is available in a Wi-Fi zone just 300 feet from the studio. So this is important to know if you are relying on having an internet connection for work or to chat with family or whatever. You have to go outside to get to that. So that's something to see. Okay, and they're suggesting that the guests be ages 10 and up because of the stair system, so they're worried about liability issues there. So this looks pretty good. Long-term stays are allowed. You can see all the amenities. There's an outdoor shower, but it doesn't seem like there's an indoor shower, so that might be something to consider. Now go down to the reviews. Okay, so this person wrote a very nice long review that is very detailed and a glowing review. So there's that. Absolutely loved it. Place is so special. Such a fun spot to get closer to nature. So if this is what you're looking for, this kind of immersion kind of space, this would be great to book. And it looks like people are pretty happy. Don't hesitate to book. Absolute oasis in the forest. Drew is an excellent host. Couldn't recommend this place more. These are glowing reviews, so I would take the time to read through quite a few of these before booking a place, especially as a solo traveler, just to make sure that I feel safe and secure based on what other people say. The price is right, and it is remote, but I would probably work this, maybe just do a couple nights here and work it into kind of a Oregon road trip, and maybe hit a couple different places. Do this place kind of in the southern part of the state, and then maybe hit a coastal spot for a couple of nights, and then go inland more to like Crater Lake or Mount Shasta or whatever, to be closer to the parks and have more of that experience. So that's something to consider as well. So this is a way to search where you're not kind of dialed in by location necessarily strictly. Like I'm looking at a specific state, but I'm not looking at, oh, I want to stay in Ashland or whatever the name of the town is. That is a way to search as well. So let's say I have a specific place I want to stay. Was that an actual place? Ashland, Oregon. Okay, and I have the dates and it's just me and everything's kind of like set. Well, now this is showing me the map with all the places available in Ashland. Ashland is right here, kind of close to where that place was. Here we are near Ashland, lots of different places to choose. One double bed. This is kind of a more metropolitan area, it looks like, so these might be, oh, look at this little tiny home. How cute. Let's look at that. Oh, it's adorable. So you can see, like, you can find all different kinds of little gems based no matter how you search. But you can also, even with having this special date picked, you can go to the filters and put in the price that you want to spend. Like say you don't want to spend more than $200 a night. Say you only want to have the entire place for yourself. Maybe you don't, sometimes hotel rooms even pop up on this. Say you only want one bedroom and you only want one bed. You don't need to pay for the rest of that. You want a house or a guest house. You can specify you need to have Wi-Fi. That's important. If you want free cancellation, that's important to you. Okay, so let's see when I designate it that way, what we get down to. So you can see there's all these different choices. This place gets really good reviews. It's 2 bedrooms, but that's all right. And Superhost, again, it's just the whole process over again. Now, I will say, if you are traveling with a pet, it's really hard to filter in the pet from the filter situation. It doesn't, you can't pick that there. If you want to travel with a pet, you gotta go from the main page. Before you hit search, you have to designate that in this part. So say we still want to go to Ashland, Oregon. Say we still want to go the 11th to the 14th. Say we still want just us to go, but we're bringing our dog. You gotta put that in here. You can't put that in the filters later. If you're bringing your dog or cat or whatever, and some places will specify no cats, so just be aware of that. Make sure you put that in at that step and it's not available in those filters. I also want to recommend the app is great, and I love having the app on my phone, especially for on-the-go communication with Airbnb hosts, kind of keeping track of my trips and managing my wish lists. But I much prefer to use a computer with a full browser open because I have found that there are restrictions on the app. For instance, and I'm not sure if there's other restrictions in terms of searching, because I mainly do all of my actual researching and searching on a web browser on a computer, but the calendar function on the app is much more limited. For instance, say that you're looking out for a trip that you want to take next summer. You want to organize a family trip somewhere for next June. Well, the calendar on the app might only go out to March or May of next year. And you want to look for a trip in June and you want to book things because you're going to a popular area and things book up. I have found it on the web browser, the calendar is much more expansive. Where it stops you on the app, you have more choices for further future availability on the web browser. I don't know if this is a fluke. I've noticed this since using Airbnb, so I highly recommend using the web browser. I also find it much easier to navigate. So the last thing I want to show you is how I search when I'm just looking for spots to add to my wish lists. So if you make a login, and which again I suggest you do, you just put in your email, you can verify who you are and verify other information that's important when you're actually booking places. You can start building wish lists. I have a huge list of wish lists that I organize by location. And so what happens is whenever I come across a recommendation or just happen to be searching for something and something catches my eye, I will mark it into a wish list. So let's say, well, I'm just going to take one of these places. Let's say on this site here, wow, $1,400 a night. Holy smokes. Okay. Let's look around for something that's not quite so crazy. Let's say I looked at this listing and I was like, this looks beautiful. I would love to stay here sometime. I don't know when, I don't have a plan for this now, but it might be something I want to look at in the future. I don't have any dates put in, everything's kind of out, right? So I would save this to my wish list. Now you have to have an account to do this, and I logged out of my account for safety reasons. But when you're logged into your account, you save this, and it gives you the option to save it to one of your preset wish lists or to make a new wish list. And like I said, I organize mine by area because that just makes it easier when I know I want to be traveling. Let's say I'm going to be traveling to Colorado and I know I want to be there at a certain time of year. Well, I already have a wish list for Colorado and I can look at the places that I've flagged and saved to my wish list, and that can help me cut down on search time on Airbnb. So I highly recommend doing that. Even if you have no plans, just dreaming of plans, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to save things. A lot of the places I find I find through word of mouth. So people I follow, travel bloggers I follow, especially Renee Roaming, she has good recommendations for places, especially in the Pacific Northwest where she lives. So I've flagged a lot of her recommendations in my own personal wish lists. And then when you start picking things and saving them to your wish list, the program recognizes what you're doing and it will start suggesting things to you that are similar or in similar areas. So that's another way to like expand your search. So I think that's about all of the tips I can provide to you on how I navigate the app. Honestly, racking up the wish lists not only is exciting, it's like a fun thing for me to do, it also just helps a lot when it comes to actually planning a trip. Being really flexible about where you're staying also can help a lot. It's one thing to know like, okay, I definitely want to go to Oregon or whatever in August, but to be flexible on exactly where you're staying can help if you are in the market to stay at a unique dwelling or a specific kind of dwelling. If you really have your heart set on a tree house, for instance. Trying to find a tree house in Ashland is not going to work out because Ashland is a more metropolis kind of area and you're not going to find a tree house there, probably. You can search, but probably not going to find what you're looking for there. But if you can expand that to all of Oregon and then just look through the map to see what's drivable, what's close, what kind of activities do I want to do? Do I have events that I have to attend where I have to be in a certain place? Can I chop up my stay so that maybe I really want to stay at a treehouse, it's only available 2 nights. Am I willing to, kind of work around that and prioritize having that experience of staying 2 nights at the treehouse that I really have my heart set on, and then looking for other places to stay for the rest of the trip? Am I willing to move around a little bit? Being flexible in that way helps a lot when it comes to to booking kind of your special spots that you really want to try out. I also would say a minimum 2-night stay. 2 nights I think is a sweet spot if you just want to go somewhere to experience it. More than that is great if you want to settle in and really like relax and enjoy a specific place, or if you have a specific event, you're there for a set amount of time, whatever. For me, minimum 2 nights is a sweet spot for an Airbnb stay because check-in's usually late afternoon, 3-4 o'clock, and that gives me time to get settled, kind of unwind, have a good night, make a nice dinner, get a good sleep, and then I have the whole next day to enjoy, explore whatever I'm doing. In that, if I want to spend the whole day in the dwelling because that's what I want to do, then I'll do that. If I'm in that place because I want kind of like 50-50 in an outdoor exploration, then I'll do that. If I'm there mainly to go hike a certain trail or see a certain lake or go visit a certain coastline, then that will be the priority. But having 2 nights gives you that full day. So you have the full day from morning to night, and then the next day, most places checkout is between like 10 and 12, I would say. So you have time to really kind of experience and enjoy a place and not feel too rushed. 1 night is not enough because to get in at 3 or 4 o'clock and then have to check out at 10 or 11 the next morning, you don't really get to experience it. You want a full day there. So that would be my last tip for Airbnb travel. I hope this was helpful in some way. I'm hoping that I touched on all the points that you're curious about, and if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll try to keep a special eye on the comments and get back to you. But honestly, just start poking around on Airbnb or any of the other vacation rental sites. There's VRBO. That's the only one I'm really familiar with that I've used before. Airbnb is my personal favorite. I just think even navigating the site is easier and logistically it's simpler, and I have a good experience with Airbnb so far. Not that I've had a bad experience with VRBO, but sometimes if I'm looking for something specific, I will pop over to VRBO to see what's available. Like if I'm looking for a very specific area, if I'm traveling for an event or with family or something like that. But get on the website. I do recommend using a browser if you can because it expands your search capabilities and calendar availability for sure. And just start poking around. Like I said, even on the main page, it'll show you things that are, within a couple 100-mile radius of you, and that's a good place to start. And then when you start clicking on things, it'll show you other things, and then you can start building your wish lists and organizing them however you see fit, if it's by date or by place. I would recommend, if you're making a wish list, to clear the search dates. So your wish list, because you can have your wish list with search dates specified, just make sure those are clear so you just see all of the availability and not just what's available for those certain dates. But yeah, happy searching. If you find anything really fun, I'd love to hear about it. And I'm wishing you all the best. Safe, happy travels. And yeah, take very good care. I'll see you real soon.